Residents of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, are living in fear. The security of the nation's seat of power has continued to deteriorate, especially at night. The city center is not entirely spared as phone snatchers, armed robbers, and one-chance criminals continue to operate in areas identified as black spots. Nta investigation reveals that criminals are talking residents of FCT in some black spots with little or no resistance, especially areas deserted at night, like a National Stadium under bridge, Sahad Bridge, Shema, and AYA after Magdishu, among others. Many residents of the FCT have been injured, some even killed. In one of such incidents, a driver with the Nta News24 was recently attacked and stabbed, which resulted to his death on the spot. Just for the hoodlums to, have access to his phone. The story is pathetic, as many residents escape with knife wounds, while the unfortunate ones are killed by their attackers on the spot. On this episode of the program, our guests shall be discussing the increasing cases of attacks on residents of FCT and the way forward. Thanks for joining us and welcome to Nigeria Today. I am Ikaria Clinton. Joining us for the discussion is Dr. Kabir Adamu. He's a security risk expert. It's good to have you in Nigeria Today.
Thank you, Ikaria. Good evening.
Dr. Kabir, you will agree with me, it's quite a pathetic situation here. To sympathize with the family of the deceased. Now, let's talk about this issue of insecurity in the FCT. Now, when we talk about black spots, what do we really mean? For the people to get a grasp of what we're talking about here.
All right, thank you. Let me join you in expressing my condolences to the family of the deceased and to the entire Nigerian Television Authority, and of course to all persons associated with the media. I'm one of such persons, and it is with heavy heart that I express these condolences. Nobody, I repeat, nobody should be subjected to that type of exposure just because he is working. What he did was in the course of his normal day-to-day work. And I want to buttress the fact that this is the Federal Capital Territory. We're not talking of a remote area. We're talking of the Central Business District within AMAC, Abuja Municipal Council. That is the seat of the government. That is where the entire diplomatic cycle resides. That is where, in fact, where that particular incident happened has a major government infrastructure, which is the Central Bank of Nigeria. It's within a very close proximity to where the incident happened. So my heart bleeds that a Nigerian who was in the course of his day-to-day activities was subjected to that kind of incident. It also bleeds my heart, and I say this with all sense of responsibility. I'm not aware that any of the agencies of government that have responsibility for public security has put out a notice to say where this has happened. We are conducting an investigation, and this is what we are offering to the organization that lost that person. So having said that, and this is by way calling out in clear terms that the police needs to do better. This incident happened almost, I think, about right now for 24 hours after. We need more. We need more. Particularly, I'm calling out on the Commissioner of Police, FCT Abuja. I want to say here on record that I had the privilege of discussing this matter with him, and I need him to do more. No life should go in the manner that done. What it does, if we do not take action and show clearly that we are taking action, then we are encouraging the perpetrators to continue. We need to see clear, tangible action. Now, having said that, your question was how do we identify black spots?
What are black spots? What do they really mean?
So I run a company called Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited. What we do is to gather data, congeal this data, and then form some form of visualization with them. Now, through that data, you are able to know frequency of incidents. What happens in, there are 6 council areas in Abuja, and each of these council areas have peculiarities. In fact, if you break them down to the various areas in Abuja, Gariki, Wuse, there are peculiarities, the types of crime that happen. So when a hotspot is mentioned, it means the frequency of occurrences in those areas, is high. So let's say we're looking at what type of crime, mugging or bag snatching or phone snatching, as the case may be. Through the data that you've collected, you can look at it and say these are the areas where the frequency is high or the frequency is low. So if you're looking for a hotspot, it means the frequency is high. So what we know over time, in particular in AMAC, I'm restricting my conversation to AMAC now, not the general FCT area. There are places that, such as an example is the, you can use Area 1 before. Some good things have happened. So the pattern of crime in Abuja is changing because the FCTA has conducted a couple of raids in certain areas, and they've made several arrests. And what has happened is they've dislocated these criminals to certain areas. But Area 1 used to be a very, a hotspot, as the case may be. Places like this shopping area that is not in Garki here, the name has just escaped me, used to be a very, a hotspot too. Nikon Junction used to be a hotspot, and a few other areas like that within the city. Bega Junction too at some point used to be a hotspot. As you move down Bega towards, I think, Zone 5 or Zone 6, or even Zone 7, I'm not sure at the moment now, there is a bridge, and then there are parks to the right and the left of the bridge. That area too used to be a hotspot. Then these are even daytime I'm talking about. As you progress into the night, the possibility of almost the entire AMAC, especially areas where they are not well lit, the potential or possibility of them becoming hotspots for criminal activities increases. And this time around, I'm talking specifically around phone snatching, handbag snatching, and things like that, not the other ones like one chance and the other things that happen. But in simple terms, it is the frequency of the criminal occurrences in those locations that determine whether the place is a hotspot or not.
Now, earlier I asked black spot, but I hear you now use, hotspot. We use it interchangeably. Are they the same?
They're the same thing.
Okay, black spot, hotspot.
And hotspot. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what are the main factors contributing to the existence of black spots or hotspots, like you said, in the FCT?
So there are several factors, but I would give you a few examples. Most of these factors are determined by the security protection in that environment, and then the cover that the environment allows the criminals to use. So where there are bridges, and in those days, those bridges have provided havens for these criminals to hide. So what they do is they go under the bridge, they hide, and then they are able to come out, conduct their criminal activities, and then run under the bridges. And usually it's very difficult for our security agencies to follow them, especially at night, into those bridges. Mabushi is a very good example. Underneath the highway, there are some form of bridges. Then where you have shrubs or trees, or even farms where they've planted, whatever it is, corn that is able to grow high, that will allow them to hide. That also is another possibility. Of course, the absence of CCTVs within FCT Abuja is also one of the contributing elements. If there were CCTVs, their identities will be known, and some form of images will be kept wherever they are seen, they are arrested. But because those CCTVs are not in existence, then unfortunately it's very difficult really to see footages and identify who the perpetrator of that crime is. The culture of security within FCT Abuja is also another challenge. What do I mean by that? We don't necessarily, as residents, participate in the security infrastructure, and this is a function of the approach by the current administration to security, as well as our own, I would say, lackadaisical attitude to security. For a security arrangement system to be good, we as residents have to participate in it. But I don't think we've cultivated enough, participation of residents to support that.
How can we do that?
It has to be intentional. A campaign. I personally, a couple of years ago, did send a proposal to the then minister for what I called SAFER, so that I don't leak out my, but it was a proposal that was meant to help show up support for the administration in terms of security. The police will come and tell you, see something, say something, but they don't tell you how. If you tell me see something, say something, if I'm going to embrace it, you have to tell me how. So that proposal was meant to drive public buy-in into the security infrastructure. If I ask all of us here in the studio today, what is the phone number for the FCT Command and Control Center? I doubt if any of us know. Should I ask?
Please don't.
So this is what I mean. We need to be serious and intentional about driving that campaign. We spend money to see something, say something, but we don't drive it by us telling the people how. And there are ways to do that. Insignias, signages, T-shirts, radio campaigns. NTA, I'm sure, will gladly do it for the police for free because you're helping yourself, you're helping residents of Abuja. So that intentional approach to shoring up people is what I mean. And say a few other factors, response time by the security agencies, and so many things are determinants of that.
Okay, you also mentioned earlier the use of CCTV cameras. I wanted to stress, the importance of technology in securing, our areas generally.
Yes, technology is a force multiplier. It is also, it has many advantages. And I think in the case of Nigeria, or in the case of FCT Abuja, the relevance of security cannot be technology cannot be overemphasized for the security arrangement in FCT Abuja. We complain we don't have enough personnel. The personnel don't have enough vehicles. They don't have enough weapons. So technology can cover those gaps in very simple terms. So if we narrowed it down to CCTVs, even the most basic of CCTVs, the one that would just video what is happening, can help forensic investigation. It can serve as a deterrence. If a would-be criminal, the average criminal has what we call a criminal cycle. He or she wants to escape. That's basic criminology. The criminal wants to escape. If the criminal knows that the chances of he being arrested is high, he's likely to drop that criminality. Except if the gain is so lucrative that he's ready to take the risk even when he's arrested, then some would still go. But because these are common petty criminals, if they know, they weigh the chances that they will be arrested. And nothing, I want to emphasize, nothing increases that chances like a CCTV camera, because it would take the image of the person. Even if it covers his face, if the police know their work, the signature of that criminal will already be in their record. So they can use the footage, his movement, his body type, and then to find him and arrest him. They can also show it too, because there are criminal echo space, quote and unquote. They can show that footage during their investigation, and then it will help them in identifying that. So in simple terms, technology can actually help block some of the gaps that we currently have in our security arrangement, not just in FCT, but across Nigeria. In modern times, CCTV images CCTV devices have actually been improved. Aside from the cultural function of just taking videos, AI has been embedded into them. They now have adaptive thinking, where you can program them to actually identify. So let's say you are looking for a particular criminal and you know his facial features. You can program those facial features into a camera so that any time that person passes by, that camera can pick it up, and then you see a kind of timestamp somewhere telling you that that person you're looking for is there. So, and that's not, a human being can actually not do that. It would be very difficult for a human being to do that. So technology is the way to go, but we have to marry that technology with our needs. In other words, contextualize it in a manner that it will be useful to us. I worry that we've invested a lot in security. I've said a lot, but I don't want to leave the impression that I do not recognize what, for instance, the minister has done. He's bought vehicles, he's bought motorcycles, he's done. But we need solutions that are specific to our needs. What do I mean by that? We sat down here over the...
I will stop you there. So you tell us what you mean by that after the break. Okay, we'll take a short break now to listen to some Nigerians on the issue of securing the black sports in the FCT. Don't go away.
It's quite unfortunate, the news of the death of Yahuza, a staff with NTA, whom have been stabbed last night within Sahar store and CBN. That very particular area has been a black spot in Abuja. From there up to National Mosque, where you have Tufa House or the junction leading to National Mosque itself, experience have shown that as soon as it's 4 o'clock till 9, 10 o'clock, that place is unsafe for people to move with leg or even with car.
We that normally enter taxi in the night and in the morning, we experience many things. You see, there is one junction here. Let me say, if you know revenue mobilization and fiscal allocation, okay, that good look village, Jonathan Expressway, that place is very, very dangerous.
Garki, Apo Bridge, and Area 1.
I feel Area 1 is congested and it should be decongested. The park, that Area 1 car park, I think if they should move that park from there to somewhere else, that would make the place a little bit more safer, where all those bad guys cannot hide and do bad.
One is down that bridge along the airport road. Then one is around that Galadimawa runabout under the bridge also. But the major one that is threatening now around the Central Business Street is around that Sahar store. Once you come down from there, there is a bush there. Once you enter inside, then there is also a tunnel that leads to so many places. Around that place in that Sahar store, they can steal you, they can steal your phone, they can steal everything. If you are not even careful, they can hurt you. They can use any weapon on you. We don't know where those strangers or hoodlums are coming from.
The whole night they say I should remain my home. If not, they will took the knife from me. Oh, I was scared. So I have to give them. They removed the phone. When they left, I started shivering, scared.
Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today. We're looking at securing the black spots in the FCT, and of course I have a security risk expert here with me in the studio. Now, Dr. Kabir, you had quite a lot of things people had to say there. You know, these hot spots, black spots are known. So why is it, does it seem like, you know, not much is being done, you know, to secure these places, even though a lot has been done by security operatives?
The approach our security agencies took is not an approach that was sustainable. We know, for instance, that they went to settlements where they know that hoodlums are residing, so uncompleted buildings, places like you know, the residency under bridges. I don't know what to call those kind of houses, but people just find you know, under the bridges and then start staying there. So the task force that was raised by the minister did go to those locations and arrest the ones that they would arrest, but that's not a sustainable approach, because when you scatter them, they will come back.
So what should be done? What should be done to secure
first off, document them.
Areas?
Document them. I mean, let's use our heads. Let's use our brains. If these people are migrants, economic migrants, most of them are actually, they are economic migrants. Sometimes in the daytime they have their professions they do. A significant number of them don't have their professions. So use the good ones to isolate the bad ones. Document everybody. Have a system in place where you know who and who is living within the FCT. And there are several ways you can go about it. Anyone interested should come and meet me. I will advise them on how to go about it. Document. Let's start with that one. Once you document them, then those ones that are interested in some form of skill sets, encourage them to get the skill sets. If they need some form of capital, encourage them to go to the relevant agencies in government and then draw a timeline. And then once you scatter those locations, find out who are the owners of those buildings and hold them accountable. Because if you don't, give it a couple of weeks, couple of days, those guys will still come back there. So that's why I mean that they are not sustainable. In terms of the places under the bridges, technology, have eyes in those places, put cameras, and like I said, there are cameras that into modern technology.
What of the importance of lighting? Lighting of the place, because most of these places are dark when you go.
Yes, physical security is a whole range of things. We've only spoken about CCTV. There are several other things, and lighting is one of them. When you illuminate a place, but the irony is this: the location where the incident that happened to your colleague is a well-lighted place. As far as I know, even though it's possible there are dark spots around there, but that area in itself is lighted.
No, I'm talking about the bush around the area where some of these hoodlums come out from. If
so
you see that,
so
it's
the
quite
point
dark.
I'm trying to make is that the irony of that particular location, not the other locations we're talking about, is that there is illumination. So that's when you're talking security, there are several layers. So lighting is just one of them. Even where you have light, but you don't have response, then something like what happened to your colleague can happen. So that means, for instance, when I talked about the culture of security in FCT Abuja, when we see something, we need to be able to call. So someone saw the hoodlums attacking that individual. Somebody should have made the call. But the next part is also response. Would the police respond when they are called? So a lot of things have to be in place. But the essence is that the police needs to be accountable to us. They need to know that they're here to protect us. Now, they're doing a lot, but I must say they can do better.
Now, what is the importance of community policing in all of this?
Community policing, the way I understand it, and frankly, a lot has been done in terms of the policy. There is a community policing committee in place for the FCT. Now, if it was working the way it's supposed to work, that committee is supposed to be informing the police. These are the trends. These are the challenges that we have. So the one in AMAC or in CBD, Central Business District, should have informed the police to say that particular spot is a spot where we've heard that it has become a dark spot or a hot spot. So which means the police should have deployed to that area, either to arrest and prevent those guys from coming back. But in essence, community policing committees are meant to bridge the gap between the people and the police. So where there are challenges, that committee should be able to notify the police to tell them that, look, there are challenges, and that the best way to reduce those challenges is to deploy to those locations.
So one more last thing. What strategies can be considered to prevent the emergence of new, hotspots?
Intelligence. At the beginning of this conversation, I did mention that in my company, we keep records of occurrences. So at the end of a period, let's say 1 month, you should be, as the Commissioner of Police, look at your intelligence to know that these are the locations where you have certain occurrences. And then your policing strategy, I emphasize this word, your policing strategy should be appropriate for a particular location. If it's one chance, the strategy you take will be different from if it's phone snatching or handbag snatching, as the case may be. So it has to be an intelligence-led policing. But that's number one. Earlier on, we spoke about shoring up the participation of the people. We also need to talk to the people. I don't know how to say this without being frank about it. If a mugger who is armed comes and to attack you and you have a phone or whatever it is that is relevant, think of your life at that point in time. Hand over that item to him. You can recover that item, but you can't recover your life. So it's very important that we think about that. And then if you're a company, also talk to your staff. In fact, in certain instances, allow them to go home early. Don't keep them late. If you keep them late, help them to get to a safe location before they get home. And then, of course, train them. There are several trainings that are available to help staff. There's one we call hostile environment awareness training, where simulations will be done. Someone will physically attack you, then you'll be taught how to respond to that. But the summary of all of this is, first off, recognize the danger. How do you recognize the danger? Study and monitor and read news. Listen to programs like this so that you know what the issues are. Number 2, anticipate the danger. You've closed work, say around 7 a.m. Ask yourself, what valuable item do I have on me that someone can attack me? Then don't use it outside. Or if, and then of course the last one is take action. If you know you have to go home at night, and there are several options. Ask somebody to go with you. If you can afford it, take, what do they call it now? Drop, yeah?
Drop, yeah.
Let it take you home if you can afford it. But the point is, first, like I said, be aware, know the danger. If you know the danger, anticipate what that danger means to you, and then take the logical action. So 3 A's.
Thank you very, very much. With that, we draw the curtain on today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to our guests, Dr. Kabir Adamo, the security risk expert. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And once again, my condolences to the family and to NTA.
And thank you for being part of the program. I am Ikaria Clinton. Goodbye.